fresh blueberries and a yummy treat, blueberry buckle. So every year I pick blueberries. It's been an annual tradition for about 10 years now. And one thing I love to make with my fresh blueberries is blueberry buckle. So it's similar to a coffee cake. So I guess the buckle part is because the crumb streusel topping buckles when it bakes, and that's why it's called a blueberry buckle. But I would call it similar to something like a coffee cake with those fresh blueberries in there. It's delicious. So I'm gonna share with you today how to make that. So welcome to my channel, Graciously Gloria, and please consider subscribing. So first I preheated the oven to 375. First thing we wanna do is grab the shortening. We're gonna cream that together with the shortening and the sugar. For the shortening, I like these shortening sticks because it measures it out for you. So I can see the fourth a cup here that I need. So I'm just gonna cut that right there. Add that in. Then I'm gonna measure out the sugar, and I need 3/4 a cup of sugar. Line measuring cup. Need to cream that together. Okay, so I creamed together the shortening and the sugar. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add 1 egg. I always like to have a little discard bowl handy, and I'm gonna go wash my hands now. Okay, that's milk, and then the milk, you need 3/4 cup of whole milk. So I don't often drink just regular milk these days. I usually have almond milk or a soy milk for my smoothies, but I do like to follow what the recipe says as far as if it says a whole fat milk, full fat or low fat, whatever the recipe calls. This one calls for a whole milk, so I bought some of that. And I just added the milk, and I'm gonna mix that in. Okay, so we have our wet ingredients ready. Now I need to mix together the dry ingredients, and then I will combine those. It calls for sifting the dry ingredients. I actually don't normally sift them, but I just stir them in a separate bowl. Okay, so then dry ingredients are 2 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and a 1/2 teaspoon salt. So I'll go ahead and add that. Salt, or not salt, flour. Flour, fine flour in my face. all the fun of baking. I just even that, level that off with the knife when I'm measuring that. All right, flour is in. Now time for the salt and the baking powder. So 2 teaspoons baking powder, have that handy. Like this little adjustable measuring spoon. I'm gonna do the 2 teaspoons of baking powder. So we got 1. Did you know that little thing right there is just to level it off? That little piece. So handy, just to level that right off. And go ahead and add the 1/2 teaspoon salt. I have not needed my readers yet, but you know what, ladies? Girls in our 40s, 50s, 60s, we might need our readers. So I'll pull that out just to make sure I'm getting the right measurement there for the 1/2 teaspoon. And love to have readers throughout the house, everywhere, because I just often need them, which is fine. Okay, so I'm going to stir that in. I might just even go ahead and use this knife to stir that in. So now I'm going to combine the wet ingredients with the dry ingredients. I'll just use a little spatula here and just mix that in a little bit at a time. Coming along, getting thicker. The consistency of this coffee cake, the batter is rather thick, you can see. Okay, that batter's ready. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add the blueberries. So I have all the blueberries I picked yesterday, and so this is gonna make more than what I need for the blueberry buckle, but I'll use that in different things like smoothies, other recipes as well. So I need 2 cups for this, so I will go ahead and rinse those off, and then I can stir those in. Now, another recipe that I've looked at for blueberry buckle, and sometimes also even if you do like blueberry muffins, it will say to, once you rinse your blueberries, dry them a little bit, and roll them in some flour, and that helps them not sink to the bottom, like of your muffins, for example, before you stir those in. So that is something you could do. For the blueberry buckle, I just tend to just rinse them and put them right in with the batter. I have this handy dandy little kitchen item that I use. This is really great when I have any canned goods like corn. Just pour that right in and it drains right out. But it also has a measuring on it, so I can measure that 2 cups right out here and use this and then rinse the blueberries that way. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so since I picked these blueberries myself, I may not have been super accurate about getting any little stems off, so I'll kind of notice that as I add them in here to see if I have any little stems that I need to take off there. I know that these should all be great. I just picked them yesterday, so they're so nice and fresh. And any little bits of like a flower bed might be on there. So I'll just get that and stir it in as I go. Again, found a little stem right there. This is full of blueberries. I even add a little bit, sometimes a little bit more than 2 cups in there. Just so it's bursting with the blueberry flavor. So yummy. Do want to be a little gentle stirring that in, not to smash the blueberries in there, but just to get them all incorporated. Okay, all right. Now to prepare your pan, you just use a little bit of that shortening, put that on paper towel, and just rub down the sides to get the non-stick there. And I'll do that with my pan to get that prepared, and then I'll put the batter in, and then I will prepare the crumble topping. Yum. Okay, so I'm using my square baker here and got the shortening added, adding the batter. I'm gonna smooth that out. See how that looks. Yeah, really this recipe just is pretty simple as far as the measuring out, kind of stirring together, get it mixed and spread, not complicated. And that's ready to go, so let's prepare the topping. Okay, so I've been letting my butter sit out to soften. I don't feel like it's quite soft enough right now, so I am going to go pop that in the microwave for just a little bit, maybe like 10 seconds, soften that up a little bit more before I then incorporate the other ingredients. Okay, so for the topping, I have a cup of butter. I'm gonna add half a cup of sugar. Level that out. it calls for 1/3 cup of flour, got that ready, and a 1/2 teaspoon cinnamon. Now you could just measure out the 1/2 teaspoon and take off the, pop up the lid, measure the cinnamon out. I'm just gonna eyeball it. I like cinnamon, so I won't even end up getting more than 1/2 teaspoon in there, and that'd be perfectly fine with me. To incorporate that, you could use 2 knives and cut the butter into little pieces and incorporate that with the flour. Or if you have a little pastry tool, you can utilize that to incorporate the butter. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And just push and twist. Looking to get like a little crumbly topping. I find baking to be fun. I mean, baking, I know if you measure out the ingredients, it is kind of accurate as far as like what the ingredients, 1/2 teaspoon of this, 1/4 teaspoon, 1/2 cup of this. And cooking can be a little bit more creative like that, but I just enjoy it. Especially the results when you get to eat a treat and share it with your loved ones. Okay, so I have the streusel topping all done. I'm gonna go ahead and get a spoon here. You could use your fingers if you want to sprinkle it on. You could use a spoon, however you like to get all that yummy topping over the coffee cake. And once I get that added on, then I'll pop it in the oven. Hiding the topping, it's kind of fun to just put it in yourself like that. You could, like I said, spoon it in. I might have made the butter slightly too soft at that point when I put it in the microwave. Maybe it was a little bit too soft there, but that's fine. It's still gonna all work well. Oops. Yeah, a little bit made it to the floor. I'll clean that up later. Happens. A little bit of messes, no big deal. Just make sure that's somewhat evenly distributed to the top, and we're ready to go to pop that in the oven. Remember to put on the timer. Have you ever done that where you like started to do something and then you're like, oh wait, did I put the timer on? Oh, I put it in like 2 minutes ago. I better subtract that from the time. I've done that. Forgot to set the timer. So this one, you want to bake this 375, 35 to 40 minutes. And if you have a smaller pan, which that's if you did like an 8 by 10, but I did more of the square pan, then it's same for that, 45 to 50 minutes. And you want to use cake tester till it comes out clean. I don't use like a proper cake tester stick, that usually like as a long metal pole, but I just use a toothpick and make sure that comes out clean. And so I'll probably put on the timer right now. I'm gonna check it at about, I'm gonna say 40 minutes because my oven sometimes runs a little hot. And then if I need to put on for another 5-10 minutes, I'll do so. So let me go ahead and set that, and then I'll show you what the results are when it comes out of the oven. Hey ladies, so it's out of the oven. Okay, I will be honest with you. I made a little mistake there. I was thinking when I was doing the crumble topping that it seemed so, the buttery wasn't as crumbly, if that makes sense. So I was thinking maybe perhaps I put it in the microwave a little too long to soften the butter. But I realized once it went in the oven, I was thinking, you know what? I used 1/2 cup of butter for the topping, not 1/4 cup. It should have been 1 stick, you cut that in half. That's a 1/4 cup of butter. So I used a little bit too much butter for the topping. You know what? It's just gonna be an extra buttery topping. One thing I did to kind of correct that is I went in there with a paper towel and kind of dabbed it to kind of soak up some of the excess butter as it was getting all melty as it was baking. So I tried to recover it that way. You know what? It happens when you're cooking. So I want to be honest with you about that. But let's go ahead and give it a try. And you can serve this warm or cool the next day. I would store it then in an airtight container if there's some leftovers. Okay, ladies, it's all done. I'm gonna jump in and try it. It's really hot. It's kind of steamy right there. Gonna give it a second to cool down. And thanks again for joining. I appreciate it. Please consider subscribing to my channel, Graciously Gloria. And wanted to let you all know you are all awesome, special, and unique. And appreciate you. Bye-bye. See you next time.